Hello, you are all very welcome to Straight from the Horse's Mouth, the Pony Play podcast. My name is Kylian and I'm your host and guide as we explore this vast world of play, kink, and community. Alright, listen, it's been a hell of a week, so this is going to be a shorter episode. We all knew this would happen eventually, so let's just get over it right now. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Great. So due to my inability to schedule out time to properly plan, write, and produce an episode with a specific topic, I'm just going to tell you a few of my favorite stories about my experiences in pony play. Some of these you might find hilarious, some you might find horrifying. Who knows? So for the first one, let's talk about when I was first collecting my tack as a pony and was finally putting together everything that I would consider my pony look. We were about a year into COVID. I had finally gotten a job that allowed me to have a disposable income, and the first thing I ordered when that paycheck hit my bank account was my first pair of hooves and my hood from Bob Bassett. Things slowly trickled in through the mail, and one by one, things would get tried on, tested, and then stored away safely as I, quote, patiently waited for the rest of my tack to roll in. Now, here's something you need to know about that time in my life. I was living in the smallest bedroom of a 3-bedroom house with 3 other people, so 4 total, and I had gone to graduate school with all these guys. We were crammed into a small house with limited shared living space, and at this point, we were a year into the pandemic. The other thing you should know is that this house had wood floors. Outside my bedroom door was a small hallway that would lead to the married couple's room to the right, my bathroom to the left, and straight ahead was the dining room. At some point after my gear started arriving, the married couple started slipping a lot more on the floor between their room and the dining room, to the point where one of them did a total wipeout in the hallway. Yeah, you guessed it. It was the mix of lube and sweat leaking from my rubber suit when I'd walk between my room and the bathroom to get everything off in the shower. I apparently was climbing into my gear so often that I had permanently made the floor so slippery that they either had to take the turn in the hallway barefoot or really slow down so they wouldn't beef it and slide into the toilet. Sorry, guys. That was me. This is also the same house where I had casual conversations with my very hot, very straight roommate. Him working on some editing work in his office, bedroom, studio thing, the garage. It was the garage. And me standing in the doorway in full pony minus the hood. Just shooting the shit for like 45 minutes. This was the same night I was taking pics with the giant horse penis sheath I had just gotten, and he had helped me get my latex hooves back on my hands, and he's just staring at the horse stick between my legs. Not in a, oh my god, let me play with that sort of way, but like a, oh my god, that's definitely a silicone horse stick sort of way. I'm not gonna lie, I had some really cool and chill roommates back in California. Speaking of cool friends in California, there's the time I had the house to myself, which honestly wasn't that odd. Once things started reopening post-COVID, it was more frequent than not. I have a friend out there who is a professional videographer and photographer, and they had a friend who I'd only met once before who was slowly getting more into the kink scene and was leaning more top switch at the time. This person would actually eventually end up being my roommate for a few months right before I moved back to the Washington, D.C. area. I had the crazy idea, let's get them suited up in a handler sort of outfit with like a flowy black button-up shirt, tight pants, and these half chaps I had gotten. And I'd get into full pony, and we'd do a cross-tie scene in the disused gazebo in the backyard. First off, the scene was hot. The pictures were amazing, and I was the happiest pony. That was until my photographer friend went, right, my turn, and proceeded to hook up my reins to the bridle and take me for a walk around the very bumpy and hole-filled yard in my hoof boots. Now, this was the first time I had someone actually handle me and led me by reins or a lead. I was both terrified of twisting an ankle, but also so frickin' excited that it hurt. After a few laps, I was forced into a chair and funneled water because despite it being the middle of the night, it was still Southern California, and it was hot. I need to do that again. Anyways. I'm going to finish this story time with the story of my first Pride Parade. Last year, the DC herd teamed up with Capitol Pets and Handlers and marched in the Capitol Pride Parade here in DC. Because of many reasons, one of which being considered a, quote, fringe group, we were placed at the back of the parade, and we were in our staging area for hours. It was so hot, and because of a catastrophic cart failure, our fearless leader never made it to the staging area with us. She had gotten stuck on the opposite side of the parade with a broken cart, and we were told that there'd be cut-throughs in the parade route, and that never happened. So it was a clusterfuck. And because of all this, their passengers who were supposed to come with us in that cart were now going in Dega's cart, one of our other ponies in the herd. My role was to be the backup pony for any of the cart pullers who needed it. It's a long parade, and we knew that at some point we'd have to switch out, and I was there just in case. I was there as the spare, the relief pony, if you will. It finally got to the point where Dega's bladder was going to burst, so they ran off to a restroom somewhere along our staging route, and I swear 5 minutes after they sprinted out of view, we were told to saddle up and get ready to move. I look around and go, well, shit, and I lifted Dega's cart so the two passengers could get on board and get settled before we set off. Because the original pony who was going to pull these two passengers was an open-faced pony, these passengers were told they would just have to sit there and look pretty while the pony did all of the work. I, on the other hand, being in a full hood with limited vision, did not foresee the issues that would be ahead of us in just a few minutes. We started moving towards the top of the parade route, and Dega comes running back. They ask if I'm cool to just pull the cart, and I, of course, said, of course, and was actually super excited to be doing this. Dega grabbed their whips and proceeded to show off their talent for the crowd as we made our turn onto the main parade route. Side note, we have a couple of whippers in our herd, and right now everybody on TikTok is just like so freaking excited about Jacques the Vipère at all the Renaissance fairs, and I'm just kind of like not impressed because of my friends who do whip and do it very well. I don't know. It's a side note. It's just pertinent at the time. Whatever. It's fine. Everything was going great. I was following the center yellow line in the street, figuring that would be the easiest way to stay off manhole covers and keep a steady, straight path down the road. We got to a point where we had to halt for a second. I turned my head to the right to see what's, right in front of me so I can use the eye holes in my hood. And not 2 feet ahead of me was a yield for pedestrians sign sticking out in the middle of the road. I shook my head and just God damn it. Called Dega over and was like, listen, I don't need much, but can you please tell the two beauty queens in the cart that I'm going to need at least a little steering to dodge obstacles and a whoa and a tug when we need to halt? Dega looked at what was right ahead of me and was like, oh, yeah, and ran back behind me and gave the lovely lady in the cart holding my reins a quick tutorial on how to drive the cart with me attached to the front. And honestly, it was all smooth sailing up and through the rest of the parade until we got to the last bit where we take a left turn onto Pennsylvania Avenue. You see, it's the middle of June in Washington, D.C., the most humid city in the world. This is not a fact, but good God, it felt like it. The parade was late enough in the day that up until this turn, we were shaded by the buildings to the west of us. But when we turned to the east, the sun was beating straight down on our backs for the last 10 blocks of the parade. And there I was in full black lycra and a black leather hood. So it was hot, and I was even hotter than I was earlier. One of the passengers decided to get out of the cart and wave a pride flag and walk very slowly for the last bit of the parade, and decided the best place to do this was right in front of the pony, who had kept a steady cadence for the last hour and a half. Girl, let me tell you, they got kicked. I was not having it. Talk about a pissed off horse. And they learned their lesson real quick. Do not slowly walk in front of a pony who's carrying a load and has a cadence. By the end of the parade, I had blisters the size of my entire foot, across my entire foot. And 2 days later, I had to run through Logan Airport to make a flight. So it was not fun. But man, I wouldn't have traded that day for anything. The common thread through these stories that I'm realizing now are the friends that have been made that not only facilitate but also celebrate this weird part of me. These folks make up my weird and quirky queer family, and I'm so lucky to be able to call on them when inspiration strikes, and I'm proud to be able to step in when the need arises. These are just more examples of how important and wonderful a community can actually be. Right, so apologies again for the short episode this week. It's been a hellish week. I'm coming off of a cold, and it's just, good God, things will be back to normal soon. I hope you enjoyed the recounting of some of my favorite memories as a pony. Next week, I've got an interview with Tyndala, former North American pony title holder and the self-assigned Old Gray Mare, who has become a great educator for ponies across the country. This has been Straight from the Horse's Mouth. If you liked this and want to hear more, hit that subscribe button and come back next week. And as always, thanks for listening.